Like the original, only bigger. This Lego-inspired figure stands half a meter tall, scaled up 1250%, and all the custom logos you see were added directly in the slicer. Now, if you're an FLSUN S1 Pro user, stick around, I'll show you exactly why I ditched this stock FLSUN slicer, how to install custom Orca slicer profiles that really work, and crucially, how to enable the Exclude object feature FLSUN left out and perform multicolor prints with my updated filament unload macro. Let's unlock your printer's full potential. But even if you don't have an S1 Pro, there are some powerful techniques here for everyone. We'll dive deep into creating perfect slicer-based inlays, strategies for printing large models efficiently, troubleshooting common print failures like poor adhesion, and managing manual color changes. This project wasn't all smooth sailing. There were failed prints and tricky moments. But you know us, we make mistakes, so you don't have to. I'm gerGO, and welcome to gerGO Print 3D, our YouTube channel with our adventures in 3D printing and laser cutting. Over the next 20 or so minutes, we'll cover everything step by step to create this figure. And don't worry, the video has chapters, so you can jump straight to the techniques that interest you most. Let's get started. Somehow, we did not have Legos when we were kids. We had lots of other toys, but maybe I'm compensating with this oversized figure. When we received these 3 colors of FLSUN filament with my S1 Pro, it immediately clicked. This was going to be one of the first things we print out of this filament. You can get the same at great prices on AliExpress. Find links in the description below. We test these filament sources for you, and you can support our channel by using these links. Regarding the printer, you can see me unbox and set up the S1 Pro, and we already printed spectacular things on this large and fast printer, like the 3D scanned statuette of Levi, and this cousin of mine turned into a garden gnome from a single photo. His wife painted it, but that's for another video. This time, we will show you all the steps involved in preparing, printing, and assembling the oversized Lego man with custom logos. Levi found the model on MakerWord for me, but we ended up downloading from printables from the same designer. I find its interface less confusing. Note, the hat is in a separate project on both sides. I link to both in the description. The multiple build plates in Orca Slicer is an amazing feature, making planning multi-print projects like this much easier. And yes, I've given up on FLSUN Slicer. I derived my own Orca Slicer presets where I actually use the maximum volumetric flow filament parameter correctly. This means I don't need separate process presets for each filament, unlike FLSUN's own approach, which is a mess. Switching to standard Orca Slicer not only fixed this, but also gave us essential features like coloring parts for organization, much better control over supports, and powerful modification tools we'll use later. Remember my S1 Pro add-ons project on Calls 3D? I've now added my Orca Slicer presets to it. If getting insights like this, especially on optimizing your 3D printers with Orca Slicer, is helpful for you, please take a moment to hit that like button. It really helps the channel, and consider subscribing if you want to see more deep dives and practical projects like this one. The original models are 10:1, but we want it to go as big as possible. The shirt is the largest piece, limited by the round build surface of the S1 Pro. I upscaled to 125%, making it 12.5 times bigger than the original Lego figures. We could actually have printed slightly bigger on my SVO8 or K2 Plus, but it would have taken much longer, and not only because of the bigger size. We dropped all the parts in Orca Slicer, resized everything to 125%, and colored them. A feature also missing from FLSUN Slicer, but useful even without a filament changer. These colors helped us to easily arrange parts of the same color onto different build plates. relatively large pieces, we did not pair up, even if they'd fit together. Having the print head jump between models introduces artifacts and slows down the print. With the S1 Pro's fast heat up and lack of constant bed meshing, the preprint overhead is minimal. So batching too many parts saves little time, plus there's the risk of one piece failing the whole plate, especially since FLSUN didn't enable the Exclude object feature out of the box. We'll fix that soon. Regarding process settings, since this is a prop, not for levy this time, we optimized for filament economy and speed. Except for connectors and the head, we use lightning infill at just 15%, making the large pieces basically hollow, held by 3 walls and 4 or 5 top-bottom layers. This might be controversial for a kid's toy. For that, double the wall count and use something like 3D honeycomb infill, easily tripling time and material need. With my hollow settings, these came out to just 21 hours and 1.5 kilos of filament. How did we know? Orca Slicer currently doesn't aggregate estimates across plates, so I create simple worksheets to see total time and filament per color. Here's another project planning worksheet. Almost 4 kilos and 85 hours on one of the fastest printers. We'll see if we ever get to it. For now, let me show you how I added the FLSUN logo and my channel's name to the shirt, all inside Orca Slicer. Well, I started in Lightburn to vectorize the logo, but only because I have that software. You might already have an SVG or use a free online tool to vectorize your logo. This SVG is added to the shirt as a negative part using the surface embedded 8 millimeters deep. If you resize it, remember the exact dimensions, because next we add the same SVG as a primitive and we size it the same. How will it fit inside each other? We'll use the XY hole and contour compensation values for these parts. I did the same with my channel's name on the back. We actually started by printing these logos and the small connector packs using Sovo white filament, mostly to physically check the size and inlay feasibility. I like Sovo filaments. They print very well, even at high speeds, and are dirt cheap. Look for deals on their website. Last time I stocked up when they had spools for around €7 or $8 a roll, including shipping. Link in the description. Hint, we printed most of these tiny pieces a few more times. So the first batch failed. The thin line in the FLSUN logo came loose. Pretty annoying given the lack of Exclude object function, but enabling it is fairly easy and highly recommended. It saves time and filament when things go wrong. Here's how. Add Exclude object, note the underscore, to the top of your printer CFG. Add these 2 lines under the server section in moonraker.conf, file underscore manager in square brackets, enable underscore object underscore processing colon space true with capital T. Reboot the printer. Make sure to enable the options, exclude objects and label objects in Orca, but my slicer presets already have these enabled. And you'll see how it's used in a sec. I separated the sensitive wiggly line into its own print, adding easy to remove mouse ear brims. I wiped the PEI sheet with isopropyl alcohol and applied a fresh coat of glue water solution. It printed okay, though still not the last time. We reprinted the rest of the white plate as well, also with mouse ears, which held most pieces. The 2 that did get loose, I could now exclude, saving the print. See this X symbol added to the printing section of the dashboard? Clicking it shows the components, and you can click the piece to exclude. Clipper still moves the head over the area, but it stops extruding there. Missing a few pegs, but the rest printed okay. With the white part sorted for now, it was time for the biggest piece, the red shirt. Notice I'm using my G onload macro to replace filament without disconnecting the PTFE tube. It softens the filament just enough before retracting. More on it in this previous video. The eSun red from FLSUN was a bit too dark, so we decided to use bright red Creality Hyper PLA from Geek Buying. We've used this filament a lot on the S1 Pro in that same video. After the drama with the tiny parts, this large piece came out great at first try. We were blown away by how smooth the walls were, especially on the sides. Hardly any layer lines. There's a bit of ringing around the logo indentations, but it's not too noticeable after adding the inlays. One regret, adding supports in the thin lines of the FLSUN logo. They were a nightmare to remove. They were necessary and easier to remove from the bigger letters, which were actually quite satisfying to clean. Having the red loaded, we printed the other red plate, the arms. We were a bit too optimistic though, printing both together. Of course, one came loose over halfway through, but the recently enabled Exclude object functionality saved the day and the print. With all the supports removed from the inlay grooves, we realized the white letters were slightly too big. Here's the best way we found to print them. First, the correct XY compensation value, 0.5 millimeters for the holes, and minus 0.4 millimeter for the contours. Next, print the letters face down on the build plate. Then you won't need top layers or infill. Set those to 0 in the strength section. With these settings, printing takes less time and inserting them was great fun. We needed super glue for some, but the wiggly line and several letters fit perfectly holding without glue. You'll notice the arms are already attached. I could have forced the connectors, but I was afraid of breaking the hollow shirt. I ended up softening the connectors with a heat gun before inserting them. I did this for all connectors. The designer recommends printing connectors in PETG for more flexibility, and color doesn't matter as they are hidden. While assembling the upper torso, the S1 Pro printed the hips and feet using the eSun Blue. Our first experience with their basic PLA, it also printed great without issues at high speeds. Found the same on AliExpress, excellent price. I think I'll order more colors. You can see, learning from our mistake, we printed the larger legs separately. See how we need to send the print first and then start it manually from the printer screen? That's so we can enable the time-lapse functionality. Time-lapse setup is annoying on this printer. I covered the pitfalls and workarounds in this earlier video. We only needed 3 supports for the top of the lower hole in the legs, nowhere else. While legs printed, I prepared the hips. Too bad my hand was mostly out of frame here, but if you don't have a deburring tool, get one from AliExpress, they are really useful. Next was the yellow plate, head and hands. Again, eSun Basic. This color was an excellent match. I used some 3 supports, touching build plate only under the head's chin and inside the mouth and eye holes. There's an option to print the head in 2 parts without supports, but I didn't want a seam across the face. Ironically, we did end up with a line through the eye. I forgot to move the seam position. We make mistakes so you don't have to. At least we were smarter with the hat, which had its own challenges. First, color. I decided to model it after my favorite hat, also seen in our life-size head print video. Since the scanner struggled with my hair, watch that video for more techniques. I got this hat 8 years ago in Joshua Tree. It still holds up. I realized with just 2 color changes, I could match the printed version's scheme. I picked brown Creality Hyper PLA for the shield, and the upper part, you won't believe this, is almost exactly Sovo blue. Being such a Sovo fanboy, this excited me unreasonably. Links to these filaments below. And yes, I did not forget to move the seam line to the back this time. Or since we are working in Orca, you could as well try the new scarf joint seams to hide it completely. Now, this was our first time attempting a color change mid-print on the S1 Pro. Given the quirky original unload method, I wanted to test if my improved G unload macro worked mid-print. I printed a tiny test hat. I managed it, but it was tricky. I recorded the process when printing the actual hat. First, you insert the filament change command in Orca Slicer at the desired layers. Make sure you have either M600 or pause defined in the machine G-code settings under filament change G-code. FLSUN didn't put much effort into M600 though, it's basically just a pause command. I made a whole video on M600. Here's the tricky part. My G unload macro didn't work when triggered by the filament change G-code. It seemed the nozzle wasn't heating, so it refused to retract Exclude. I ended up needing this manual workaround. When the printer pauses for the change, manually press the printer's own filament load command on the screen. This heats the nozzle. Then use the console fluid interface to run my G unload macro and pull the old color out. Again, use the device screen's load command to feed the new color. Finally, tap the start button, which should have been labeled resume on the screen to continue the print. And I had to repeat the same procedure once more for the very top, where I decided to add a tiny sphere, which I colored brown, the same way my real hat has it. Now, all fit together so perfectly. This was such a fun project. I absolutely love how it turned out. And if you liked watching this giant figure come together and learned a few tricks along the way, show us some love and hit that like button. You'll definitely be seeing this guy hanging around in the background of future videos. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss spotting him or our next projects. With all the reprints and experimentation, it did take much more than a day to create, but if you learn from our mistakes, you can print all the parts in less than 24 hours on an FLSUN S1 Pro using these techniques. Actually, you might have already seen him in my last video. Did you notice? Check it out. Or are you more interested in my video specifically about the S1 Pro? Here, I collected them for you. So, go print 3D. Oh, and thanks for watching this gerGO Print 3D video all the way to the end.